My name is Barbara Friedman, and I'm a 2025 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. This series was started during the pandemic, during the actual lockdown in 2020. This work is actually not at all predetermined. It's still interesting to see what I choose to see in these dried spills. I like the idea of something little in this corner and something that was being held by this beak, either cruelly or gently. I mean, you know, it could be being rescued or being eaten. I guess originally I was thinking, you know, like a mouse, but then it started to look like a bear. I was particularly influenced thinking about wildlife and bodies and boundaries in general and all the things that we couldn't do. We couldn't touch each other, breathe on each other, kiss each other. So I think that these paintings are both about the desire for intimacy and yet the dread of it, non-specific anxiety. And the characters that I find in them, whether human or non-human, often link together in unexpected ways. I guess my hope is that the emotional undercurrents include funny and sad and wistful, tender, scary, grotesque. I love when the paintings are funny, but I can't force it. I guess the idea is I don't really want to force anything. So I was thinking, you know, I'll probably develop the cat's butt. You can sort of see his butthole, but I think he needs a little more development here. I love to be surprised. I really kind of crave it. So for me, it's always looking for the accident that charts the way forward. And so when that happens, it's like, oh my God, I mean, you're in it. But until that happens, it's kind of awful. I need some road indicated. I'm looking for the ridiculous and the sublime. This one is a weird little painting. It's sort of a weird hybrid of different ways that I've worked. And the lips are oil. And the reason the lips are oil is I'm always second guessing myself. I change my mind a lot, and with oil you can just get rid of it. So I did move those lips quite a bit, made them bigger and smaller. And then this feels emotionally more like what I do. The sneakers are oil, and I guess they're gonna get more developed. You know, usually I do that. And I think in this case, I like that they're oil because it feels like there's a difference. Somehow there's a muscularity to the paint, and there's something there. I think just by working with acrylics, everything has changed. I think layers are going to become more important. In some ways, the shapes might be a little clearer again. I think there'll be a much greater range in one painting in terms of paint application. I have been for 40-some years a professor of art at Pace University, and I retired at the end of the spring semester. For the first time in my life, I'm free to be in the studio full-time, when I should be starting the semester, but I'm not. I'm here as a student. So I kind of went from being a professor to a student, which feels great.
My name is Nadalia Sanchez, and I am a 2025 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. A lot of these references come from my walks around my town, Arecibo. There's a lot of abandoned buildings, which is a little eerie and sad, but also something very magical happens that these buildings are paused in time, so they preserve their original qualities. But recently, I wrote a message on Instagram to see if people that own these homes from the 40s to the 70s could allow me to enter their homes and take pictures of the elements. So I was able to get hundreds of images of very specific elements that I'm looking for, which was a gift. In order to get to this, they look like little shrimp on there at first, and then I'll let that dry fully. Then I'll do like another layer of green, so it'll just get all covered up with that. Our studio mates would walk by and would be like, wait, you covered the whole thing again? I'm like, just wait, because it's all part of a process. I kind of work from the back to the front. Once that's dry, after a few coats, I'll sand it all away. So all of a sudden, in like one evening, it's fully transformed. I do encourage people to feel them because they do kind of feel like what the material is. These will feel like ceramic and these will feel like more like cement. I'm looking for that type of sensory aspect as well. I choose these tiles and I want to preserve them very intentionally, not only because they're so beautiful, but also because I feel like they mirror what's going on in Puerto Rico. And because we're a colony, there's so many challenges that arise, and we're slowly seeing how our culture is being kind of erased, and we don't realize that we're losing our own hand in the process of making these. And I feel like it's important to highlight their beauty and the essence of what they represent. Both my parents were draftsmen, so I grew up watching them construct architectural plans on AutoCAD. Geometry is in my head and these constructions are in my head, but I have to sit there and cut and take out all these little pieces and choosing colors, playing with these compositions. And so it's about decision making, and it's a constant problem solving that's happening, which is frustrating too. Although I have a very calculated image happening, there's also a lot of playfulness to it that I never know how they're gonna end up looking. When I can invent something within that reference that wasn't there and it happens in the moment, I even sometimes find myself smiling without realizing. I'm like, wow, I really love this. This moment of construction is really my favorite part. I have so many notes and new information that I'm still processing and that I know that I will always go back to. And knowing that I can also just call the foundation if I have any questions, you know, that is huge. I have a genie in a bottle, like.
My name is Vicki Pierre, and I am a 2025 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. These are some of the collage elements that I use in my work, and usually what I do is paint a form and then I collage over the form. The pattern can sometimes be a repetitive pattern, like a scallop pattern, wavy pattern. I use decorative paper. Sometimes that could be vintage flower pattern papers. Sometimes they're from the arts and crafts movement, from vintage Christmas decorations or Easter decorations, like from Europe. The series is called Poupées in the Bush. It represents these figures in that they are like my dolls, my play dolls. And so I could dress them up as I like. I can make them do different things. You know, some are dancing, some are stabbing somebody, you know, or just being fierce. I love glitter a lot. I use it a lot in the work, and also gold. It kind of speaks to this sort of higher vibration, higher energy. You know, there are references to magic and alchemy, just something beyond our human comprehension. I kind of want to just touch on it in a fantastical, you know, playful way. This is going to be like my new kind of muse, if you will, because she's kind of a poupée. I use portals a lot, or the idea of a portal, usually in their faces or where their faces would be. And that kind of speaks to introspection and moving into different realms, like mentally and maybe physically. I think about that a lot. And if there would be a way to get there, you know, if you could just like make a portal and then just kind of walk through it. My parents are Haitian, they were poor. And they came to the US, met, got married, and bought a home. They decorated the home like they were in France. So this is what I grew up with, right? Reproductions of like a Rembrandt or a Fragonard, gold gilt framing, gold candlesticks that are never used, right? They're wrapped in plastic. Just a lot of tchotchkes and stuff like that. I just started using them in my work. So it's kind of speaking to femininity, it's speaking to my upbringing and nostalgia, but then also this weird history, my parents' history, and then them kind of recreating this lifestyle in their home that their kids grew up in, that they raised to be American. You know, with these kind of aesthetics. I feel like my process has changed since I've been here, and I feel like I can really just be free and play and figure out what works for me and what maybe doesn't work right now. I'm learning how to kind of stretch and move beyond what I've been doing before. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. Even if my brain is saying, do that thing, I can just tell it to be quiet and then do whatever I want. That's very special. It feels like, you know, I have a new tool that I didn't have before.